Tonight on CKPG News, nearly a year after the major explosion in downtown Prince George, we look at how the neighboring UNBC research lab has fared in recovering. Plus, a local resident wants compensation from the city after a tree fell and damaged his home. And the BC United Party has made a promise of major tax cuts ahead of the election coming this fall. Good evening, folks. I'm Eddie Huband, and welcome to CKPG News. Our top story tonight, it was almost a year ago that a shocking natural gas explosion destroyed a downtown building and damaged several others. One building in particular was hit hard, but it weathered the impact better than expected. And now UNBC is singing the praises of their Wood Innovation Research Lab. Cheryl Jan reports in tonight's top story.
Early morning, August 22nd, at 4th and Dominion, a natural gas explosion blew out windows and businesses all around. Right immediately beside the explosion site is the Wood Innovation and Research Lab, the exterior of which suffered quite a bit of damage. But by the time folks were allowed inside to assess the building, it was surprisingly unscathed, all things considered.
I was surprised somewhat that the sprinkler system did exactly what it was supposed to do, put the fire out. Great. I was disappointed that we had a lot of water on the floor because that sprinkler ran for quite a while before it got shut off, even though the fire was long since out. So then we had a water issue to deal with.
And in fact, a video from inside the building at the time of the explosion shows it actually physically shifted before slingshotting back to its original place.
You could see from the base of the panels pushed inwards to the building, and then they were sucked back out again, and there was some permanent deformation there. So it overloaded some of the brackets anchoring the panels to the foundation. But that's pretty much it. Everything appears to have bounced back.
And all that remains today is a portion of scorched beam. Remarkable, really.
The days went on and we could get close, the team got close to having a look at it. We were surprised the fact that, a building that was built around passive house for sort of energy efficiency and those types of things suddenly was resilient to a massive blast that really should have done way more damage than what it did.
When you look around this building, it doesn't look like much happened. In fact, they'll be back in here in September doing more research. But really, this is an example of a building that suffered 3 natural disasters at once.
So the first one was the explosion, and that shook the building much like an earthquake would. Maybe not for as long as an earthquake would, but it did shake it. And then the second was the fire that came from the natural gas and from the neighboring building. And so then we had the firefighting operations, which then led to the water.
In fact, the fire department noted that the fate of that building would not have survived had it not been designed as it is.
It actually saved the surrounding infrastructure buildings because it weathered that blast.
And for the university, it is a true testament to the strength and viability of wood structures, despite what's thrown at it. Cheryl Jan, CKPG News.
The Ministers of Emergency Management and Forests provided media with an update on the wildfire situation as of today. There are currently 415 fires burning in BC, with 52 new starts in the last 24 hours. The majority of those fires have been started by lightning, and there could be more on the way.
But we still have several weeks of core wildfire season left. The immediate forecast will continue to create challenging wildfire conditions. Although cooler temperatures in the south are forecast in the coming days, the shift in weather can come with high winds and more lightning activity. As a result, we are expecting the number of new starts to increase this week. And BC Wildfire Service, as you would expect, is mobilizing resources to be ready to respond.
Between the cooler weather we're seeing in some parts of the province right now and the decrease in evacuation orders, I would love to say that this is a sign that we're winding down the wildfire season, but it is not. Wildfires remain extremely active throughout the province, with more than 400 fires active and dozens of new fire starts daily. The good news is that the BC Wildfire Services initial attack efforts are proving successful. However, with this cooler weather, we may see also increased lightning, which has the potential to cause more fire starts and even further accelerate growth.
The last several days have been quite smoky, and meteorologists say we can expect more smoke later on in the week. Well, some rain today helped clear some of the smoke. Recent forecasts show more is coming to our region. Air quality meteorologists say low pressure systems will continue to help quell the smoke, but the next 24 to 48 hours should bring a moderate amount. Well, it won't be as thick as Prince George has seen in past years. A special air quality statement has still been issued by the BC government due to potential health risks from the smoke.
Right now it's in the low risk health category, some hours in the moderate health risk category. So yeah, I'd say, anywhere from moderate to high health risk, but not those very extreme levels that we've seen in previous years.
The Regional District of Fraser-Fort George has rescinded the evacuation alert issued on August 10th in regards to the Canoe Road wildfire south of Valemount. The alert included an area east of Highway 5, north of the Canoe River and south of Cedarside Road. As of August 13th today, the fire is now under control and crews continue to patrol. The public is asked to visit the RDFFG website at rdffg.bc.ca for any updated information. There's a heavy police presence at Vancouver Street at 11th this afternoon in Prince George. Several RCMP vehicles and the emergency response team were stationed outside a residence for what police call proactive police enforcement. The address is well known to police, though they haven't revealed any further details into the operation at this time. A local homeowner is frustrated with the response from the city after a tree in a green belt fell onto their home. Adam Burles has more now on this story, on what the homeowner is dealing with and what they want to see from the city.
They claim this tree is healthy, and now 7 months later, this tree has now fallen on my mother's house and her car, and she is now going to be out thousands of dollars because of it.
Sean Rhodes' mother's home was damaged by a tree back on July 19th, causing thousands in damage to the house and to her car. The tree was not on their property and was located on a city greenbelt behind the property. Sean's mother reported to the city back in September 2023 that the tree looked like it was dying, but an arborist for the city said that the tree was healthy.
Their arborist alleges that this tree was healthy back in September and that they've done their due diligence and they will not be compensating my mother in any way.
When the tree fell, city crews did come and clean it up, but the damage to the house itself was extensive, with estimates going into the thousands of dollars.
The house needs to be reshingled. Structural engineers need to be brought in to make sure the house is actually stable. Her car needs to be repainted. It needs to have dents fixed that are in structural parts of the car. There's just so much money that needs to be spent for something that the city could have taken care of less than a year ago.
A statement from the city to CKPG News says that a certified arborist from the Parks Department went and examined the trees in September and reported that at the time there were no visible signs that the tree posed an immediate danger. It was green, free of major defects, and showed no sign of disease. When looked at again a year later, it was reported that there were minimal changes in tree appearance. There was some dieback of the lower branches, but this is completely normal for spruce in a forest setting. The city also says that the windstorm on Friday, July 19th that took the tree down was, quote, exceptional. The city reported 20 to 30 trees either blew over completely, with the winds reaching 30 kilometers per hour. The city also says that they followed the guidelines set out in the tree protection bylaw. However, the city categorically refutes any claims of mismanaging the issue. Sean says he just wants the city to take responsibility for the damages.
Just take responsibility for their property, because if our property fell on theirs and destroyed their property, they'd want us to take responsibility. So
the family is now working with their insurance provider to find out how much insurance will cover of the damages and will work out where to go forward from here. Adam Burles, CKPG News.
The province expressed immense disappointment today regarding a decision from the U.S. Department of Commerce to increase softwood lumber duties on Canada. Minister of Forests Bruce Ralston called the decision unfair and unwarranted and says it takes us in the wrong direction, hurting people who work in forestry and all British Columbians. He went on to say that alongside the federal government and the forestry sector, the province will continue to fight unfair duties through every avenue. The U.S. Department of Commerce has decided to increase softwood duties applied to Canadian forest companies to about 14%, up from 8%. To politics, BC United leader Kevin Falcon made a huge announcement today, just 2 months before the provincial election. Falcon is promising the biggest middle-class tax cut in BC history, should the BC United Party win the election. But will this be enough to stop the party from plummeting in the polls? Tommy Osborne has the story.
This is the largest middle-class tax cut in BC history.
That's what Kevin Falcon, leader of the BC United Party, is promising, should his party get elected in 2 months.
That eliminates any provincial tax on the first $50,000 of income earned. And that means everyone benefits, regardless of what your income level is. So if you're a forestry worker and a nurse and you have $90,000 of income each, you will save $4,100 a year, $2,050 for each of you.
This announcement comes amid BC United's continued plummeting in the polls, as the most recent Ledger poll says only 10% of voters plan on voting United. Meanwhile, the Conservatives continue to surge, as John Rustad's party is only a few points behind the BC NDP.
Kevin Falcon is, looking to grab the attention of BC voters right now on the eve of the BC election. And, he wants people to start looking at the BC United platform in a way that they haven't been, basically in the last year.
Will an announcement this big be enough to sway the votes in BC United's favor? Beach doesn't think so, but adds it's quite a drastic proposal, so we'll just have to wait and see.
If this is a hockey game, they're down 3 games in a best of 7, and it's the third period in that 4th game. So they've got, in a sense, maybe, they're swinging for the fences and there's not much to lose.
Promising lower taxes is typically a surefire way to gain popularity in politics, but how will the money be made up? About $5.4 billion will be taken out of the province's coffers, but Falcon doesn't expect this to be a huge issue, as he says the ruling NDP party has been spending too much money anyways, without delivering results.
They increased spending by 12%, over $10 billion, and yet it's tied to the worst healthcare system we've ever seen. So we're spending all this money and getting the worst results.
The argument is that there would be more economic activity, there would be more jobs, and people would be spending more, and that would offset the roughly $5.5 billion.
It's too early to say how this large announcement will resonate with voters, but with just 2 months to go until the election, it won't be too long until the province gets its answer. Tommy Osborne, CKPG News.
After 10 years on the council in the district of Mackenzie, Councillor Amber Hipkiss has resigned. Hipkiss indicated that her decision to resign was due to personal changes in her life that have caused her to relocate to Prince George, making it difficult to commit the time to her council duties. She adds that it was not an easy decision for her, but it's been an honor to spend the last 10 years representing the community. An official date for a by-election will be set following the appointment of the chief election officer. The City of Prince George has launched its Fall Community Association Recreation Guide, and it's full of recreation opportunities, including floor hockey, soccer, and pickleball, just to name a few. Prince George is home to 7 dedicated community associations that partner with the city to offer these programs in school gyms, fields, and throughout the city. Registration is now open for many of the programs, and the guide provides details on all upcoming community association programs, including registration information for specific activities.
And now to your health. Brought to you by Hard Drugs, 3rd Avenue Pharmacy, and the Phoenix Pharmacy.
While the summer heat is nice, it's important to recognize the sun is a deadly laser. And if not properly protected, you will burn. While wearing shirts and staying in the shade blocks all harmful UV rays, sunscreen is a great option for any exposed body parts. But what's the difference between SPF 30 and SPF 50?
Generally, SPF 30 is enough to cover 96.7% of sun rays, as long as it's sort of a broad spectrum one with a lot of different good ingredients. Whereas if you get SPF 50, it's only about 98%. So it's really not that much of a return on investment. You don't get too much more protection.
Well, it doesn't make much of a difference for adults. With kids, it's better to buy the most protective sunscreen possible.
Generally, you try and avoid any sun exposure under 6 months old, especially. Over 6 months, you can start using SPF 30 type stuff. I generally recommend anything with zinc dioxide or zinc or titanium, because that will sort of work to repel the sun.
And if you're planning a trip this summer vacation, consider packing sunscreen that will not only protect yourself, but also the environment.
If someone's going on vacation somewhere where they're going to be swimming in an area with coral reefs, I always make sure to recommend sunscreens that are reef safe. Like oxybenzone is one of the ingredients that is not considered safe for reefs, so just make sure you double check that before you purchase anything.
However, accidents happen and you still might get sunburned. What are some ways to relieve that itchy soreness?
Aloe vera gels are quite commonly used and they do have a soothing effect. I always recommend people stay very hydrated as well, because if they get sunburn, there's a good chance that they weren't hydrating the day before, maybe too many beers or something in the sun, making you extra dehydrated and more prone to sunburn.
Brett adds that you should buy clear aloe gels as opposed to the ones that are green, as they contain unnecessary additives. Sam Bennison, CKPG News.
To Your Health. Brought to you by Hard Drugs, 3rd Avenue Pharmacy, and the Phoenix Pharmacy.
The lowest gas price in Prince George is currently sitting at $1.66.9 per liter at Costco. The lowest price in the province right now is in Sardis at $1.57.9 per liter. Manitoba has the lowest fuel prices on average in the country at $1.50.7 per liter, while BC has an average price of $1.74.3 per liter.
Cloudy, cool conditions expected overnight in the Prince George area after that chance of showers that we started off the day with. Things are expected to begin drying out, really kicking in this evening into the overnight period and throughout the day on Wednesday as well. So yes, a lot of that cloud cover, it is expected to start breaking up as we get into our Tuesday overnight period into Wednesday, and it looks like there may be some sunshine in store. So speaking of, yes, you can just see all those pockets of precipitation really begin moving out, drying out. And for the bulk of Wednesday, it does look to be relatively dry ahead, relatively clear as well throughout the Prince George area. So that should bring some sunnier conditions to the region. Highs tomorrow across BC. Prince George looking at a high of about 25 degrees. Fort St. John, pretty pleasant there as well with a high of 22. Valemount looking at a high of 23. Some sunshine in store as well. Kamloops with a high of 32. And the lower mainland highs kind of in the low to mid 20s. Pretty pleasant. Warming up a little bit on Vancouver Island. Victoria has a sunny day in store with a high of 19. Across the broadcast region tomorrow, Mackenzie also looking at some pretty nice temperatures, a high of 23, a little bit more sunshine in the forecast. Similar conditions in Fort St. James as well. Vanderhoof, identical daytime highs at 24 degrees. Burns Lake, a little bit cooler, still expecting some sunshine. Quesnel, of course, a little bit warmer with a high of 27 in the forecast. Highs tomorrow across the rest of the country. Yellowknife cooling off, clouding over, a high of 15. A little bit warmer in the Edmonton area, a little bit drier as well with some sunshine and a high of 26. Regina still looking at a very strong chance of showers, highs in the around 28 degrees. Winnipeg also seeing some of that stormier weather, that instability. Toronto area, though, actually looking at a pleasant day ahead alongside Montreal. Halifax looking at some potentially wet weather, but temperature-wise, it is still quite warm, high of 22 for tomorrow. Looking ahead, a bit of a mixed bag. So Wednesday, a lot of areas are looking at some sunshine. After that, though, a lot of areas seeing some cloud cover building back in on Thursday evening into Friday as well. So you're kind of getting a little bit of everything this week, according to the latest forecast modeling. Speaking of, here's our extended forecast for Burns Lake. So that's what we're talking about here. So Wednesday looking mostly sunny. Thursday, pretty similar conditions. After that, though, Friday looking at a little bit more cloud cover, stronger chance of precipitation before things dry out again over the weekend. Temperatures in Mackenzie looking pretty good this week. They drop off a little bit on Thursday, still getting some sunshine. Friday, a little bit more cloud cover, but things are expected to get some more sunshine and warm up as you get into the weekend. McBride area for tomorrow, a high of 28 and some sunshine in the forecast. Pretty similar conditions for Thursday as well. Some cooler overnight periods. You'll notice that's starting to shift. Friday, chance of afternoon showers, much of the same on Saturday as well. Sunday, though, getting a little bit more sunshine. Wednesday in the Quesnel area with a high of 27. A really pleasant looking day ahead. Some sunshine in the forecast, warm temperatures. Thursday, pretty identical. Friday cooling off a little bit more, but still partly sunny conditions anticipated to finish off the work week. In the Prince George area, it looks like tomorrow is shaping up to be a pretty pleasant day ahead, high of 25 degrees, a little bit cooler in that Wednesday evening period, but anticipating a mostly sunny forecast, and that's pretty well the same for Thursday. Maybe getting some cloud cover on Friday with that chance of precipitation, but temperature-wise, it looks like a great rest of the week ahead.
The TSX is up 219 points to close at 22,618. The Dow Jones is up 409 points to close at 39,766. And CN Rail went down 9 cents to close at $152.11.
CKPG Sports is delivered by Domino's. Join the Domino's Lunch Club with 25% off all regular price pizzas every day. Visit domino's.ca to join the club.
The Toronto Blue Jays return to action tonight in the second game of a 3-game series in Los Angeles, taking on the Angels. Toronto's coming off of a 4-2 victory over LA, and Kevin Gausman will try to keep the momentum going on the mound tonight. He's had a bit of a down season this year, sporting a 4.42 ERA. Vladdy Guerrero Jr. has been the lone bright spot this season for the Jays, putting up all-star numbers, as you can see. These two struggling teams will wrap up their series with Game 3 going tomorrow. And there was plenty of MLB action last night as well, and tonight CKP3 is showcasing a former MVP's return, a fantastic pitching duel, and a highlight reel-worthy catch from a lucky fan. It's all in tonight's CKP3.
Starting off with Mookie Betts' return.
This is blasted left field and deep. On the track, at the wall, Mookie Betts back with a bang.
The Dodgers got its third former MVP back in the lineup for the first time in 2 months, as Mookie Betts returned from a fractured hand. He immediately reminded the baseball world why he's a former MVP by hitting this homer, his 11th on the season. Next, Sale versus Snell.
1-2 as he looks for strikeout 1-2. He's got it. Season high 12 strikeouts for Chris Sale.
Got him. That's a competitive fastball. And that was 114 on the pitch count. And strikeout number 11, and this might have been the biggest strikeout of the night. That's going to be the last pitch he'll throw.
Blake Snell of the Giants and Chris Sale of the Braves put on a pitching masterclass as they combined for 23 strikeouts in 7 innings. The game would end up going to extra innings, where the Braves would end up winning a competitive 1-0 game, which pitchers across the world certainly enjoyed. Finally, a very lucky fan.
And that is drilled to left field, a line drive home run into the first row. And right into the hands of a Royals fan.
Bobby Witt Jr. hits his 23rd home run of the season directly to a fan wearing a Bobby Witt Jr. jersey. Definitely made the trip to Minneapolis worth it for this Royals fan, who will certainly be telling stories of the great barehanded catch he made on live TV in tonight's CKP3.
All right, folks, that's all for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us as always, and we will see you tomorrow. Have yourselves a wonderful evening.